What is going on, everybody? We are back for another episode number 10 of the CC podcast. Jacob Allen Nielsen in the house, new headphones today, vibing a little bit different way with not the over the ears. How you doing, my man?
Good, dude. Mine friggin' broke, bro. The other one's the little adapter. So I dropped my phone. I had my headphones in, had my phone on a shelf, and then turned too far. Phone dropped, bent the adapter thing, and just broke it. So I'm out here just rocking the standard old headphones that iPhone gives you when you get your new phone. So I don't know.
Bad headphones.
They're not bad. I'm not against it.
For coming with your iPhone, they're not that bad.
No, I'm down with this. You know what I mean? I'm down like a hot platter of sushi on a Sunday.
Sushi on a Sunday.
You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
Dude, sometimes you just need to get the Jamaican and you need to put it with the lime and the coconut and mix it all up.
I like that. Are you doing good? Are you doing good besides that?
I'm doing well, dude. I have no complaints. I'm as free as a bird. I'm ready to sail off into the sunset and say, I'm like a bird. I want to fly away.
Yeah, that's sick, man. Good story. All right. So, episode number 10. I'm just flipping you crap. I'm excited, though. We're going to be talking about some things that actually kind of go together this episode. So, at the beginning of our episode, our lighter topic, we're going to speak about kind of things that we've accomplished in life, things that we're proud of that we've done, maybe goals that we had when we were younger that now we have accomplished. And then the second one, we're going to talk about goals and dreams that we have now, and what we're doing to obtain those, what we want to do to be able to obtain those, if we actually think they're realistic, whatever that may be, because sometimes you just got to shoot for the stars knowing you ain't going to make it. But if you were to shoot for the mountains, you'd be lower than if you shoot for the stars and fail a little bit. You might end up somewhere in the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? Good analogy,
What?
Mike. You're smart.
What? Dude, you know that Wayne Gretzky quote?
Well,
dude,
no.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Let that stew in your little brain.
I thought that was a Michael Jordan quote.
No, Wayne Gretzky, bro.
See, I don't know.
Michael. Dude, get out of here. You think
another...
everything's about Michaels, Mike Sexton, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
It's all about Mike's with you.
Yeah. All right, here's another. I got another quote for you. This one's from Jacob Allen Nielsen.
Oh.
Hold on. Let me make sure I get it right.
Oh.
Okay. You have dude, let me say it.
Okay, you got it.
You get stinky butt as many times as you don't wipe your butt. So if you don't wipe your butt ever, you always have stinky butt. If you wipe it 50% of the time, 50% of the time you got stinky butt.
True. Yep.
You told me that on our first date. I mean, on our first hangout.
Oh. Dude, same caca, different chonies. You know what I'm saying? All right, dude. Do you want to hear what's your favorite accomplishment? Your best accomplishment that you've had in your life, bro? What's the best?
Oh man. Tricking a girl into marrying me.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
I don't like that.
I'm kidding.
I feel nasty.
No, dude, get your head out of the gutter. I mean it like
no, not like that. I'm just saying it just makes me feel like that's skeezy. You know what I mean? Like tricking a girl into marrying you.
Well, yes, but I don't mean it like that. Like my heart's in the right place.
Okay.
Like what I mean is I feel like I'm married up, like out of my league. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So you just got to trick one girl, aka my wife, to like me, just a dumb old 7th grader with weird hair. You know what I mean? And then you win for the rest of your life.
I don't know. Tricking is the right word, bro.
Well, you're thinking of it in the negative light.
Persuading.
Yeah, but that doesn't flow.
Tricky flows. Oh, that's what it is. What? Okay, keep going. Sorry.
So when are we going to make our songs about each other? We said we were going to record a song about each other, like hyping each other.
Thought about that.
I haven't thought about it either. I just remembered. We're going to do it. We need to do it next week. Sorry. We have to do it. Okay.
So basically, a student suggested, real quick, just so they get background story.
Mm-hmm.
So one of Mike's junior hires suggested, oh, we should create a song roasting each other and have students vote who created the best roasting song. Well, as we like to roast, I don't want to continue promoting roasting culture. So we're like, what if we do an encouragement battle and just encourage each other? So
and
go ahead and wait for
encouragement culture. You know what I mean?
Oh, come on. Let me drink some agua to that.
Coca-Cola Zero Vanilla. You know, this is what you find in
that's some like old people's. Yep.
Yep.
That's an old people drink. Yep.
All right. So I think biggest accomplishment or thing I'm most proud of.
Yep.
I think when I got drafted out of high school. So a lot of students, you guys all know that I played baseball professionally, which was a goal I had my whole entire life. I remember when I was in second grade and my teacher told us to write what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I said, I want to be a professional baseball player. And she's like, no, you need to be realistic and write something that you can actually do. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to write about being a professional baseball player. And I remember her like calling my mom and being like, he can't write about that. That's not realistic, whatever. And so why it's my favorite accomplishment, and it's not that's not the main reason, but it's funny because I played baseball my whole entire life, wanted to play baseball my whole entire life. And when I was a senior in high school, I got drafted by the Seattle Mariners, hometown team, was pumped about it, ended up not signing. As you know, I went to college. But what was cool about that is a week after the draft that year, my mom ran into my second grade teacher in the grocery store, bro. No joke. Ran into her and she goes, hey, how is your son Mike doing? All that kind of stuff. Is he still playing baseball? All that kind of stuff. She goes, yeah, he actually is. It's funny that you ask. He just got drafted by the Seattle Mariners to play baseball professionally. And who knows if she remembers the conversation, but it was like a moment for my mom where she was probably the most proud of me.
Totally.
But it was a really cool accomplishment. I don't think that I don't know. It was just something I always wanted to do. And then also being something for your hometown. And there was something cool about it being in high school is like the draft happened like 2 weeks before graduation. And so like all of my friends that like grew up with me like knew that's what I was working for and like were super pumped for me in that time. So it was really, really cool. I actually got drafted on the day of my graduation party at my house. And so like everyone was coming over, you know, you have food and all that kind of stuff. And so I got drafted like 2 hours before the party. So everyone was like all pumped up for me and all that kind of stuff. So that was a cool moment. And then also something that I'm proud that I accomplished, I guess.
I love that. So I have two. One's super basic. So when I was in high school, I didn't do any homework or like didn't care at all about school. Like basically I got high like pretty much every day. And so I was like in danger of like not graduating for my entire senior year. So I had to take 2 different after school classes. I had to do EPHS, which is like a program where you had to like pick up packets to make sure you earn credits and stuff. So just like work my butt off my senior year. And for like something that's so menial, and for some students, like you're going to graduate and you're trying to graduate like a 4.7, like whatever. I think that was the coolest moment is like when I graduated. And then like I remember my graduation party that I had, which like who like celebrates somebody barely graduating. But just like one of the cool things was like it brought my family together. That was like the first time my mom and dad saw each other in like 8 years, which was super rad. And then like just the opportunity for like speeches, and it was just really cool because they saw like the amount of effort I put into like trying to graduate and like, you know, crapped out the first 3 years, and then senior year kind of turned it up. So you know, it was neat that people were able to rally around something that was like embarrassing, because that's like not something that's cool, you know, or like you feel like a low life when you're not about to graduate high school.
Yeah, it's like cool for a little bit in high school when you're like I don't care about this,
don't
whatever.
Care. Totally.
But then when it like actually, I feel you.
When rubber meets the road, And so like Yeah, because for life goals and stuff, you need to have a GED, but like a high school diploma to like be able to do a lot of things. So
Yeah.
basically, yeah. So that was just a super cool moment that brought like family together, and like once again, I think it was something that like was menial, but something that
Hmm.
like made me feel super proud of myself of just
Yeah.
accomplishing and doing. And then like more recently, just when I got called on stage and they introduced me
Hmm.
as like a pastor, I think that was the
Hmm.
coolest thing. Something I was working towards. And most of you know my story is like I came into this position not having any sort of education in biblical studies or anything like that.
I
And
cried.
then
I cried
what? Yeah,
I cried during both
I know
services. I was standing in
it
there
was rough.
crying both
It was rough. It
services.
was, dude, it was wild. So basically, been working in this position for I think a year and a half or 2 years at that point, just as a director of high school ministries, doing everything like a pastor would do, just like not necessarily the title or whatever. And for me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get some sort of education, and that will like that title will come. And so it was always something that was like in the back of my mind. I was like, that would be cool to accomplish, but like I have a couple years until that will
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
And so got called into an elder meeting right after a student leadership meeting. And
Mhm.
they just were like, oh, here are all these questions. Let me serve you up some hot theological questions real quick. So it caught me off guard because I thought
Yeah.
for a second, I was like, I'm in trouble. Like, what did I do wrong? Like,
Yeah, you don't
what
want to go
parent?
to an elder meeting when you're not
No,
scheduled
not
to be in an
scheduled.
elder meeting.
Exactly. So I'm like, what parent is like pissed at me, or like did I like
What did I
is
say?
someone like exactly. So I was freaking out. And then they're like talking to me about these theological questions and stuff. And I was like, okay, that was weird. So then my motor started turning. I was like, oh, was that like an interview for like being a pastor? They didn't say anything specifically, whatever. So then on my phone, my drive to drop off Andrew Keller to his
Mhm.
parents' house, I dropped him off. And then on my way from Andrew Keller's house to my house, I then got the call that I was going to be a pastor. So I started freaking out, super hyped, couldn't tell anybody. But
Mhm.
then that Sunday, they brought me up after was I speaking?
Yeah, you were speaking,
Yeah.
dude.
So,
That's
okay.
so
So
sick.
like,
Yeah, you were.
so I think it was like the second time I spoke on big stage. They basically, Jeff went up at the very end, said like, hey, we want to introduce you to Jacob Nielsen, the new high school pastor. Started freaking out, cried like a little baby, and like just a
Got a
cool
standing O.
accomplishment. Standing ovation, praise. Yeah, people from the church were super stoked for me, and
Yeah,
obviously I was excited for myself. Once again, my family was there. Everybody was super excited, so it was just a super cool moment. Super proud, and just yeah, excited, especially when it's something you don't even expect. I think that
yeah,
was so cool because I like
yeah.
okay, maybe this will come in a few years, but like not now.
Hmm.
So it was just
Hmm.
really like it just shows, and it's not about me, it's about God's faithfulness like in my
For
life,
sure.
and it's how he continued to show up and provide for me. So just super blessed and honored to be even in this position. So
That's
yeah,
so cool.
so those are the two that like popped up in my head.
I love that. That's
Yeah,
that's sick. I
yeah,
I'll share one more.
yeah.
Um, my second one is obviously baseball related. Um, a lot of my goals that I set and accomplished were baseball related for most of my life.
Right.
But my sophomore year, when I was playing at a school in Idaho, Lewis Clark State, we won a national championship, and that was super
So
super
sick.
cool.
Wow.
Because the school I went to, it's a smaller school, it's an NAIA school, so
Huh.
equivalency for like skill level, I guess you could say, is probably like D2.
Cool.
And so we went my freshman year. We played in the national championship game. I was the starting shortstop that year. I made it
Dang.
air every single game except for the national championship game that year. So
Oh,
we
that's hype.
every single game. I was the first kid, a freshman, to ever start as the shortstop at that school in all of its history in the World
Holy
Series.
cow. Wow.
I played every single game, made an error every single game at shortstop, dude. Like had a ball go between my legs the first game, bro, the worst. But then we
Dude.
ended up making it.
I love
We
that.
ended up making it to the national championship game. I had a good game that game. I didn't make an error, but we ended up losing, and that was my freshman year. And then we came back my sophomore year, and mind you, this school has won. Now they've won 19 national championships. before I got there, it was 16 national championships.
Holy smokes.
And they were in the middle of their biggest drought that they've had in like program history. Like they hadn't won one in almost 10 years.
Holy cow.
So we lost my freshman year, and then my sophomore year going back, we ended up winning, and it was it was a really, really cool thing.
How was the final game? What was the final game like? What was like the score? Like, tell me the situation.
So we're playing. I was actually playing first base in this game.
Yeah.
So what happened was I throw right-handed, hit left-handed. So if I'm facing a left-handed pitcher, it is harder left on left than it is a righty to a lefty just based on angles. And at that point in my career, I wasn't very good at hitting left-handed pitching. And so I would platoon at third base with a guy that was right-handed. So I'd play third base whenever there was a righty, and he would play third base whenever there was a lefty pitching. When we got to the World Series, both of us were both like on fire. Like we were both just on a hot streak. And so our coach was trying to figure out where the heck he would put us both. And so he put me over at first and put him at third. And we both played pretty much every game of the World Series that year. But the game was crazy because within the first 2 innings, we were down like 5 or 6-0.
Holy smokes.
And we got down 6-0, and we're just like, oh my gosh, I'm like, this is about to happen 2 years.
Like you're letting it slip through your hands. Yep. Yeah.
Which the year before I got there, so my senior year of high school, they had lost in the national championship game as well. So they lost in the national championship game, like 1 game away. Then my freshman year, lost in the national championship game again. And then my sophomore year, we're in the national championship game. First 2 innings, we're down 6-0, which was crazy. Then we got it. It was like 7-1 at one point. And then there was a thunderstorm. All of a sudden, thunder and lightning. Going crazy, bro. Like movie style, right? Then we have a 45 to an hour delay. So we're just sitting in the dugout because you can't play. Like once you see a lightning strike, you can't play for 30 minutes until you can start the game again. So you would like we got through like 15 minutes, and then they saw another strike. So then you have to start the clock again and then go.
Stop.
And then after the lightning delay, dude, I don't know what happened, but we just went off and we ended up winning 10-7. And
that is wild.
We won the national championship game. Have you ever, dude, if you've seen this, I'm going to freak out. Have you ever seen on Instagram, every once in a while, there's like a viral video of this really, really overweight pitcher in like a light blue uniform striking out? Okay, I'll have to show you another time. But there's a video that goes viral all the time of this pitcher that's like 350 pounds, about 5'8", right? Like short dude, but a big boy, right?
Holy smokes.
Dude threw like 93, 94 miles an hour. He was the starting pitcher of that game. He was shoving at the beginning of the game before the rain delay or before the lightning delay. And
what does shoving mean? What does shoving mean?
Shoving means he's just throwing really
destroying.
Really
okay, he's killing it. Got it.
Like he had, so there's 3 outs per inning. He had 6 strikeouts in the first 3 innings.
Holy
so out of
smokes.
9 chances, he struck out 6 dudes. One of the strikeouts was me, and the viral video is me striking out against this fool. And so we have to run off the field. Like you have to run wherever you go when I was playing at school. And so I would strike out and I had to run back to dugout, and I look like I'm pouting and running back to dugout. And it's a viral video of me striking out against this fool. And I get tagged in it like every probably 3 months. I get tagged in it by like multiple friends of mine.
I love that.
And so it's super funny because I've actually connected with that guy now. And like he works replay for the MLB now in like New York in their offices and stuff. And so it's just super weird. But yeah, that was a cool moment for me to be able to like dogpile. It was sick. Loved it. I got a black eye. It was dope.
That's so sick. I know, like that sense of accomplishment of like all the hard work you put. Obviously, like the biggest stage, Super Bowls, like MLB, like national championship, like all that stuff is like obviously the epitome of like the goal. Yeah. But like even those like that, you know, winning a championship, whether you're like playing flag football at your stupid junior high or like it's, you know, CIF or like national championships for you, like what a sense of accomplishment. Yeah. All the hard work you put in that season and the seasons before to get to a place where you're like winning at the highest level at that time that you can be winning. So sick. What a sick accomplishment. That seems so hype, honestly.
That's super fun.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. So going along the same topic,
Sure.
We're gonna go to goals, dreams that we have now, and what we plan on doing to accomplish them,
Yeah.
what those things look like. And so I can
Yeah.
start
Go
just
for
because
it.
I have a couple. I don't know what you have, but the first goal that I have is I don't know why I wanted to do this, but I've always wanted to write a book. I think I shared about this on a previous episode, but I've always wanted to write a book for some odd reason. I'm
Oh,
not the smartest person in the
good for
world.
you.
I don't have a big vocabulary. Like, I just have always felt like I've wanted to write a book.
How many
And
let's goes will be in the book, do you think?
uh,
Just kidding.
probably,
At,
I'll probably
at
just
least
put it
one
in
per
now,
chapter.
just
That's
because I want to. Like,
wait,
it's like
what are the
title of the
titles?
book, and then like the subtitles. Let's go.
Okay.
It's like, okay, we'll start now. Let's go. You know what I mean?
Okay. Sorry, keep going.
But I've actually started, which is crazy. I haven't. I've always been like, oh, I don't have enough to say yet to write a book, which I still feel like
Sure.
I don't.
Right.
But I think one thing that I've noticed with this goal for me is like way out there, something that like I
Right.
would never do in my natural, I think, ability that I have. Like, it doesn't fit that framework for me. Like, I feel like I'm
Yeah.
a decent communicator. Like, I feel like I can communicate things in a decent way, like from a teaching standpoint.
Yeah.
But in a writing standpoint, I mean, I feel like I can write my papers that I need to for school, but if anything more than that, I feel like I'm inadequate.
Yeah.
And so as I've thought about doing it and starting it, I started doing some research of just like what to do when you start. Um, and I was reading about all of the reasons why people that want to write books don't write books, and all of the things that like keep people from doing it were all of the things that I was like playing through
The
my head of
same.
like, no one
Mm,
wants to listen to what I have to say. I don't have
right.
enough to say. I don't
Right.
know enough on the topic, or like whatever it is. And so I was just like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to start.
Yeah.
And once I start, I feel like I could at least slowly finish um, it. So I started during this quarantine time, and
So sick.
it's been weird. Once I sat down and like I put together a schedule for myself, it was way less daunting than
Okay.
seeing like for like a 200 page like a self help type of book format.
Sure.
You have
Yeah.
to have like 40 to 50,000 words to hit 200 pages, which is
Wow.
like with the table of contents, with everything all together, is about 45,000 words. And so to me, I'm like, that is so much words. But then once I
Yeah.
started to break it down into like sessions of writing, it's really not that bad. So
Okay. Cool.
I've done 3 sessions of writing, and I'm at a little over 8,500 words right now. So
Dang.
once you get going, it's not that bad. And I learned how to like outline and stuff, and like how to like so you can actually walk through like the argument that you're trying to make, or like
Yeah.
the things that you're trying to say, the stories you want to say with them, all that kind of stuff. So I've started. Who knows if it'll actually be good? But I'm
Yeah.
doing it for myself. I'm not doing it for like my mom's gonna buy it. I know that, and that's really all that matters to
Yeah.
me, man. I just
That's
want to
cool.
have it to be able to do it.
Cool. That's
Yeah,
rad.
man.
What a cool accomplishment. And like something that's neat about that is like you don't even really understand why you want to do it in that way. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like that's something that was like you had all the baseball aspirations, and then like this idea of like writing a book is like been just a part of you. Probably like even before all the baseball stuff, but like it's
Yeah,
even brought up more
it
now
has
in
been.
ministry.
Yeah.
So I think that's super neat and random and cool, and can't wait to see it and get my hands on it. You know what I mean? The
Love that.
manuscript,
The manuscript.
the
Let's go.
original, the original. Dude, you need to write it on papyrus, bro.
On a scroll. I'm gonna be selling
Scroll,
scrolls.
scroll. Dude, could you imagine just Mike Sexton's scroll?
It's
Let's
stupid.
go. That's like 18,000 of those, dude.
Stupid. No, not
Oh,
doing that.
anyways,
Don't do
okay.
that.
What's your next goal? What's your next goal?
My next goal, and this is partial goal, partial like I feel like the Lord is kind of leading me in this direction.
Sure, yeah,
And me and you have had conversations about this, but
yeah,
I think that the Lord is preparing my heart, my mind, to plant a church someday. And so
yeah.
that to me is probably the most daunting thing in the world.
Right.
I have learned since baseball has been over, that the Lord tends to to direct me in places that I don't feel like I can accomplish them, which I
Totally.
think is intentional in keeping me from trying to do them on my own.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I think I want to plant a church. I want to just see God glorified in the local church. I love the local
Yeah.
church. Like, I feel like it is the place that you can find community, find purpose, like find what really matters in like life. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like
Yeah.
Christ died for the church, you know?
Yeah.
And so just thinking of how important it is to him makes me nervous of like trying to start one, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Right.
man, I've heard Jeff say this multiple times about getting the job to work at Bethany. He was just
Hmm.
like I've been entrusted with something that is extremely precious to God,
Precious. Yeah.
and I can do like a lot of good, but I also can do a lot of damage.
Right.
And so it's scary, it's exciting, but yeah, that's another goal I have. I think I wouldn't say that I'm doing really anything crazy right now to prepare myself for that.
For that. Yeah.
Um, but I definitely have tried to, when I find myself in conversations that are not youth ministry oriented, like along my job description, where it's like, I'm always trying to learn and like get better at youth ministry, you know, so we can reach our students
Right.
better. But like
Right.
when there's things going on at the church or whatever, like I'm trying to learn and take in as much as I can from people that have done
Right.
those sorts of things so
Yeah.
that at least when I get there, not that I'll be fully prepared and have all the answers, but that way when things pop up, it's not like, oh, that's the first time I've ever heard of even that, you know?
Totally. That problem
Um,
coming up or whatever. Yeah.
exactly. So at least like having the framework of like, oh, I've actually heard of someone going through this, and I may have someone to call that I can ask
Totally.
questions to,
Right.
or whatever. But just trying to soak in what I can and whatever it
Hmm.
may be, um,
Yeah.
and just yeah, it's a long ways off, dude. Like,
Yeah.
first off, would never start a church like now. Second,
Right.
can't. Third, don't want to. Fourth,
Don't
no
want
one
to.
would
Yeah.
listen to a 25-year-old try to plant a church.
Yeah.
Fifth, I'm not doing it. I
I'm
I
not doing
want
it.
I want to be at the herd. I love the
I
herd.
want to be. I love
I
that.
want to be with junior high students.
I
So
think, yeah, and I think there's something cool just to like go alongside of that of like, we have this experience now to like, in the future, if we want to start a church or whatever that could look
yeah,
like we get the opportunity to be involved in those conversations and like formulate our own opinions,
yeah,
or like what the future of like what you want in a church
yeah,
could look like,
yeah,
specifically to you and your skills and the things that you tend to like lean more towards. And
yeah,
that doesn't mean like at Bethany we have a bunch of problems and we just sit there and
yeah,
disagree
for
with
sure,
all of them.
for
Like
sure.
just to make sure like if anybody from church is like, oh, we're just smack talking Bethany and all this stuff and
No,
we just have
we're
different
not.
opinions. No. But like, it gives us an opportunity to learn and to like
Mhm.
grow and for the and if we're not like producing leaders that would go and create churches, like what are we doing at the church, like
Sure.
that should be such a
Yeah,
main focus of like
yeah.
being in
If we're
church
not
leadership.
multiplying, yeah,
Yeah. So and I
yep,
think that a lot of people can take that as like, oh, you just want to get to the next step to then like go and
no,
just this is a stepping stone, so you're not going to appreciate the time that you have in the way in the herd, which isn't true at
mhm,
all. But it's like
yeah,
the idea is like hopefully at some point I could reach even more people in like my own
mhm,
way or my own capacity or my own church,
mhm, for
obviously
sure.
with the help of God. And so like it gives us an opportunity to learn a lot, which is super rad, and to be devoted to that and to
Yeah,
experience that. So I
yeah.
love that.
I think for sure that I want to talk about just really quick the
Sure.
people. I hate. I don't hate. I struggle with like the mindset that people think youth ministry is a stepping stone for like pastoral like ministry,
Totally.
like
Yeah.
because that honestly has never even crossed my mind. Like
Right.
people think that just because like someone wants to start a church or whatever, or they go into youth ministry and they're only there for a few years and then they're
Right.
at a different role in the church, like
Right.
they were just using it as a stepping stone. And it's just like I haven't met a single youth pastor that's been their heart for youth ministry ever.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
maybe there are a few out there that are like I
I'm
just got to get my
sure.
foot in the door
Right.
and whatever. But I think it's realistically just people that love God, love people, and are seeking to bring people closer to him in everything that they do. And then when the Lord calls them to do that thing, they say yes,
Totally. Yeah.
And so I would, I just think 99% of youth pastors, they are in it because they love the students, and that's why they're doing it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It.
And this is the people that we tend to, find that we have not necessarily the most in common, but are most comfortable around,
Sure.
like as a 26-year-old, like I'm not going to find myself being an adult pastor of like a bunch of adults with like kids. Cause number one, I can't identify with that, or nor can I relate to that. So it makes sense. Like being a younger guy, this is the position I'm in. And, and nowhere do I feel like I even know what my next steps are to the future of my life. But like, I just love being a part of youth ministry because I love and connect with high school students,
Yeah.
And same for you. So it's like,
I love that.
Yeah. Never in my mind am I thinking like, what's my next step? When do I need to, have a kid to then like, oh, then I could be an adult pastor. That's not my reality that I'm in. I'm just like taking one step at a time and letting God kind of handle the rest. Yeah. And so like for me, like my goals, like the first one I thought of was like, okay, I just want to be a good dad and a good husband. And like, that's once again, don't know what that looks like. Want to create a family environment that's loving.
Yeah.
And I don't want to come at this of like my parents were the worst and they never taught me anything about life. Yeah. So I want to say that number one, but like, I would love to be able to raise my kid in a place or in a home that I never got. Not saying I need a white picket fence or anything crazy like that, or like a BMW and a pool, but like, I just want to be in a relationship with Sabrina that's just loving and caring, that is like centered around God. Like that's first and foremost, like what I want my students, or not my students, sorry, my students too, but my kids at that point, that's what I want kids to see and to grow up and just find tendencies, and for their father to be the example of what it looks like to actually really love Jesus, so that they like hopefully can have their own relationship of like, okay, my dad has his relationship. I want that, but not exactly that, but like that same similar relationship. So like, I'm not taking any practical steps, like what that looks like. Like, I think I'm just building my relationship with God. And I think that's something that should sit in the back of my mind of like, okay, I want that eventually. Like when I have a kid, I want to raise them well in a loving home. And so, I think there's counseling, there's, a lot of working on myself and mine and Sabrina's relationship before we get to that point. But like,
for sure,
I think, that's something I'm thinking about, maybe not taking practical steps. And maybe there are some, like even thinking, and I hope, sorry, I'm jumping around. I hope this podcast, if you don't have any goals or any achievements, I hope this like makes you think about those, right? Or at least put some thought down. And then like, sitting here thinking about what does that look like? What are some practical steps I can do to be like a good father, or to raise my kid in a loving Christian home that loves Jesus? Like maybe it's writing down the things, that I didn't care for in my, how I was raised. And like writing the things that I did like and appreciate and the things I did learn. So I think like creating a list for yourself of things that you want to accomplish, or things, for me specifically, what I like and dislike. So but once again, this is kind of just like word vomit because I'm thinking through this in literally real time. This isn't like pre-recorded or premeditated. So off the top of the dome. And then so that would be number one.
I think that's
be a good father.
Can I speak to that? I think that's such a good mindset to have, and like a place to start with that too. Like, being married and like thinking about yourself being a father, is just like thinking about your experience as a kid and what you experienced there. Because I would, like you were talking about, like I want to live in a way that my child sees my life and goes like, I want to live like that for Jesus. Like I want it to be a good example. And I think being in ministry too, it's even like amplified, because it's like, I would hate, like, oh my gosh, my biggest fear is for me to be on stage teaching something, and for me to go home and my daughter to be like, you don't even do what you say
Right.
tell people to do at home, and like that's my biggest fear. And for me now, like waiting to have a kid, like that's kind of my, like, it's just okay, I need to really live what I say, which I fail at all the time. But like I think that's a practical step, like to whatever I say, I need to do it. You know what I mean? Like and actually do it. Because your kids are going to be the ones that see your flaws, because they're with you all every day. It's like your spouse, your wife, she sees your flaws because she sees you every single day at your best and your worst,
Literally 24/7. Thanks, quarantine, coronavirus.
no breaks.
No.
That's awesome. What's your second one?
The second one, once again, you got to work through, got to chomp through. I think for me, like I've never seen myself as like a lead pastor. I think for sure at some point I would be willing to like co-lead or to help in that role. Or like executive. Like I don't see myself as being like the head honcho in that way. Because I work really well in a team like dynamic. Like I always think of the thought of at Lakewood High School, there was two principals. There was like Mr. Acosta and the other guy, I don't even remember his name. Mr. Acosta was like this fun loving dude that like brought everybody to him, like was really good at connecting with students, like would play rock, paper, scissors if you're wearing a hat that day, and was like, I'll play rock, paper, scissors. If I win, I take it. You got to come pick it up after school. If you win, just put it in your backpack and we're good. And would like, honor that. And so, he was just this fun loving kind of the face or like the example. And then there's like another dude just working in the back, grinding, connecting with like teachers and parents and stuff like that, and there was this like cool, cohesive, like
for sure,
unit of leadership that like necessarily they did little different things or different roles, but they were able to work really well with each other. So I kind of see that in my like future in ministry, of what that could look like. So like co-leading once again, or something along those lines. And starting a church, I think like a goal of mine, like would just to be like using, my hobbies or the things that I love to do to be able to bring people to Jesus or for people to feel connected and loved. So I think even like cooking is something that's really cool. And like the art of like, call it the art, but the art of like creating an environment around a dinner table, where it's engaging and comfortable and doesn't feel like an interview, but like an honest conversation with, friends, family, congregation, people, like just anybody around, where you're able just to talk about life and to really talk about Jesus and your relationship with God, and not only talk about the weather or, how frustrated you are at work, but like real intentional conversations based around, a meal or, a meal that we, I created with my hands to then be able to serve to others. Like something that we commonly do is we're supposed to like eat 3 times a day or however often you're supposed to eat. Every human does that. And so there is an opportunity for every human to engage in a conversation with somebody. And, creating my hobby, which is like cooking and making things, and then bringing people into like that relationship with Jesus and conversations. It's something like I wanted to like more, and hopefully, in the future I could use that for like ministry. Starting a church, I think that would be obviously what you kind of do at the start is like creating connections, bringing people in, sharing in relationships, and like bringing people into your house, because that's probably where you're starting your ministry. And so kind of like creating that environment, and thinking about what that looks like. So what am I doing right now? What's a practical goal? Dude, it's been so sick being home because your boy's been cooking up every freaking day, bro. Just in the kitchen, Chef Curry with the pot. You know what I'm saying?
Just flipping food, just stirring pots.
Constant. I don't even cook food. I just have things in the pan that I flip to practice. You know what I mean? Just I chop up vegetables raw in cold pan. I just do that. No, I don't. That's a joke. That's a joke. Just like a psychopath. Sabrina walks in. I'm just flipping like veggies.
Just practicing, babe.
Stupid.
I'm practicing getting the right amount of salt. I'm just twisting the thing.
Oh, there you go. Twisting. You're stupid.
Grinding up the pepper.
So I think, and that goes like continued education past like the CSM program I'm in with at Cornerstone right now. Like, I think there's some other education I need to learn and stuff I need to go through. So the education doesn't stop after those 2 years. I think it continues on. So that's like a part of the steps to then get to that point where like I'm either co-leading or helping start a church and going from there, you know? So we'll see what that looks like, but we keep pushing to the goals. Yeah.
So good, man. So good. I feel like this episode has been a little longer than normal, but that's okay. I'm pumped up about it.
I love that.
I expected it to be short, or if I'm being honest with you.
What time? I don't even know what time. I can never tell.
I'll find out in a second.
Okay.
But we love you guys.
We do.
This was episode number 10. We will be back again for episode number 11 on Tuesday of next week. Yeah. Until then, we love you. I guess we'll probably see most of you on Sunday, but we love you. We can't wait to see you. We miss you. Jacob cooking food. He doesn't ever bring it to my house because he hates me.
Well, it's quarantine, and I
drop it off on the step. Drop it off on the step.
I would literally be breathing all over it. And you're in Arizona.
Cover your mouth.
I have that excuse. Cover my mouth the whole time I'm cooking.
It's been a month and a half.
Anyways,
I love you guys.
We love you guys.
We'll talk to you later. Peace, blessings. Later.